Today on the RepubliKen Talk Show, we're going to be going through the LGBTQ skid marks that teenagers have been leaving on LGBTQ flags on the roads. We're going to be going through the Trump Jimmy John's controversy. And we're going to be reading the school shooter memo and more on this episode of RepubliKen Talks. Welcome to the RepubliKen Talk Show, everybody. I am your host, Kenneth Glenn, and today we got a good show for you today. So, before we get into anything, I want to just give some time to celebrate the life of a legend who has passed away today, Jerry West. So, Jerry West, who I consider to be a top 10 player, maybe even a top 5 player of all time, has recently passed away at the age of 86. He has had an amazing career on and off the court. And if it wasn't for him, Kobe would have never been on the Lakers. He also dominated the 1960s. And, if it wasn't for the three-point line not being a thing, he probably would have won like 15 championships. Okay, Jerry West was a really good player, and he's just underappreciated. He's one of the most underappreciated players in NBA history. And in response to him passing away, similar to how they treated Bill Walton, the 2K has dropped a free 100 overall Jerry West card on my team. If you have 2K24, the video game, you can use code Jerry-West-44 to get a free 100 overall Jerry West card now. And then we move on to other news. Before I get into that, just may Jerry West rest in peace, and hopefully his family's doing well. So, LGBTQ skid marks. So, there has been a trend recently where towns put LGBTQ flags in the crossroads. They put them whereby crosswalks and things like that. And, people have been doing donuts on them and putting skid marks all over them to vandalize them, which is kind of funny, not going to lie. So, this article comes from the Daily Wire. It says, as Pride Month continues, several people have been charged with allegedly defacing pride flags painted on the streets with tire marks, and some critics have even accused them of hate crimes. In early February, a Florida man was accused of deliberately doing multiple burnouts with a pickup truck in Delray Beach intersection that was painted in rainbow colors. The incident was caught on surveillance video, which the police released. It shows a pickup truck with LED underbody lights, and an American flag attached to the back, leaving tire marks on the intersection of the Pride paint while making a hard left after dark. Dylan Brewer, 19, surrendered to the authorities after they searched for him for a week. He was charged with a felony criminal mischief, property damage over $1,000, and a misdemeanor, reckless driving. He was released on a $5,200 bond. Now, let me mind you, he was charged with misdemeanor, reckless driving. This man was on an empty street in the middle of the night, and he was made to pay $5,000 in bonds and $1,000 of property damage. I don't know what paint you're buying, dude, but Lowe's does not sell paint for $1,000. I'm going to tell you that right now. Heck, I could buy you paint I will buy you the paint. I don't know why it's $1,000 worth of property damage. I can understand the capitalist argument that there was a bunch of work put into it, but let's be real, the LGBTQ flag isn't that hard to paint. It is like 7 straight lines. That's not that difficult. So I don't know why he's being charged with this. Obviously, should you have done that? No. But should it be a crime? I don't think so. Especially when drunk drivers who can literally kill somebody don't get charged that much for bail. This is a political execution. This is a political punishment on this man. Okay, when was the last time a drunk driver paid $5,000 for bail? I would argue drunk driving is the dumbest thing you could do, and it is one of the most dangerous things you could do. And I think that drunk drivers should spend 10 years in prison, whether or not someone gets injured from their escapades. Yeah, I guarantee you drunk drivers don't pay $5,000 for bail. Yet this man has. And he just did a donut on an empty street. Doing a donut on an empty street on a pride flag is now more dangerous and more harmful to society than drunk driving itself. That is what we have learned on this show, ladies and gentlemen. Witness reported that Brewer was observed intentionally performing multiple burnouts with his vehicle over the LGBTQ pride crosswalk. A Delray Beach Police Department said, the Delray Police Department said, reckless action caused significant damage to the streetscape painting, which serves as a symbol of unity and inclusivity for the LGBTQ community. Because as we all know, we need to make sure we explicitly state that the LGBTQ community is included. Because the people of the LGBT community are so dumb that they don't know that they're included. They're so dumb, in fact, that if you don't outlandishly just admit that you are okay with them as people, they don't think you're an ally. You have to explicitly state that you support them in order for them to know. The same way that the BLM crowd is so stupid that they need to chant that their lives matter in order to know that their life matters. The Palm Beach County Human Rights Council declared Brewer's actions should be considered a hate crime. Wow. Can we get a hate crime for that guy who literally told a group of Jews yesterday that he wanted Hitler to wipe them all out? He said, quote, "I wish Hitler was still here so he'd wipe you all out." We talked about that in the show yesterday. And where's the hate crime there? No hate crime there. But this, deeply wrong hate crime. Can't do donuts on the streets anymore, guys. You do a donut on the empty street, hate crime. What about the American flag? If I burn the American flag, where's the hate crime there? If I burn the American flag, perfectly okay. It's actually a good thing to burn the American flag. It's encouraged. It's no more than freedom of speech. Yet for some reason you disrespect the pride flag. Hate speech. Deeply wrong. And earlier this month, 3 teenagers were arrested and charged with a felony for leaving scooter marks on the pride flag painted on the streets in Spokane. Prosecutors demanded $15,000 bond for the police used surveillance footage from the intersection to find the suspects. The 19-year-old suspect was charged with malicious mischief with a hate crime bias. He was accused of shouting F you and the F word, that's a homophobic slur. I have no problem saying it, but we're on YouTube right now, so I'm not going to say it. At a passerby. So this is the teenager was being accused of this, which I'm going to be honest with you, he probably did. let's be real. Let's be real. He probably did. But it's innocent until proven guilty. You have to prove that he did. Seeing as he has no problem with vandalizing the thing, which, like I said, isn't wrong. Here's my question. What if I have to hit my brakes out of an emergency? Like, what if a kid runs out in front of the road and I happen to be on the LGBTQ flag and I slam on my brakes to stop my car and I cause skid marks on the flag? Will I be sentenced and be committed of a hate crime and be forced to pay thousands upon thousands of dollars for this hate crime that I didn't commit? Would I get less jail time and pay less in bail if I just ran over the kid that just ran out in front of me in the road? Is that what's being said here? We see that you have done this thing, one witness said. People don't just go out and do that without intention. You don't destroy symbols without intention behind it. Yes, that is very true. Nobody does anything without intention. Everything that is ever done has a reason to it. The reason why we cough is to get clogged up phlegm out of our lungs. The reason why, we drink water is because we need water to live. There's a reason for everything. And this deeply intelligent witness has now stated the obvious in saying that people do things with intention. We have made a huge discovery on the show, ladies and gentlemen. The company also said it was immediately instituting a no-ride zone around the mural to protect it from any future vandalism attempts, which means the scooters will shut down if driven over the street paint. So they're legislating this LGBTQ symbol because it is so important to them that they protect the LGBTQ symbol. This is the most important thing we have to do. Okay? If we don't, the homophobes present a clear and present danger, as we all see. All right, moving on to another thing. So there is a video that went viral recently, and this video has been out for months. This video has been out for a few months, and it's a man who went into a Jimmy John's with a Trump hat and an anti-abortion t-shirt. And he went to Jimmy John's, he got his food, he ordered his food, and on the sub, the server wrote FDT, which means F Donald Trump. Who made that song? YT? Which one? I don't know. I don't know much about rap music. And the person also wrote that abortion is healthcare. Okay, this video has gone viral and people are thinking that Jimmy John's actually encourages and tells employees to do this. That has become a popular conspiracy theory among people. Okay. And many people have demonized Jimmy John's, and some people have come up with the idea of boycotting Jimmy John's. Because, Jimmy John's is this big company that everyone knows of. Everyone eats at this restaurant. It's a little ridiculous to call for a boycott because when was the last time you've seen anybody eat at Jimmy John's? Seriously. Like, when was the last time you were, like, walking down the street and you saw somebody with a bag of Jimmy John's food? Okay? Never. I've never seen somebody with Jimmy John's food. Heck, I would even argue if it wasn't for Brock Lesnar, I'd have no clue what Jimmy John's even is. I'm not saying that Jimmy John's is a bad company, but I'm just saying, like, I don't really have an opinion on Jimmy John's, actually, because I've never eaten there. But I just think it's funny that everyone's calling for a boycott of this company that no one eats at anyway. Over this video, too, which is insane. So the man who made the original video ended up making a follow-up video saying that the problem has been resolved. We're going to play that for you on the show right now.
Hey guys, I wanted to give you a quick update on the Jimmy John situation. So the video that I posted a couple months ago just started going viral again because a lot of major accounts like Tara Bull, Wall Street Apes, Cat Turd started sharing it. I guess they just got wind of the video. So first, thank you guys for sharing my content. But secondly, this issue has already been kind of settled. The owner of the franchise emailed me back, within a couple of days. Corporate definitely heard about the viral video when it went viral a couple months ago. And the owner apologized. He said he doesn't stand by the beliefs of his employee. It actually sounds like he's a Trump supporter and a pro-lifer. So overall, I think he just hired an employee that had his own thoughts and was kind of like a wild card. And, I don't hold it against the franchise at all. It is what it is. It was a rogue employee. So just keep that in mind that the owner already apologized to me. I have his email in my inbox, but I don't want to blast it and share with everybody without his permission. But he did apologize. He took accountability. And it sounds like he's a pro-life man, a real man. So just understand that I don't have any ill will towards Jimmy John's anymore. It was what it was, and let's move on in lives.
So look at that. The problem is solved. The problem was solved. No issues. Actually, Jimmy John's seems like they're pretty based, actually. Now, it's unknown of whether or not the employee who did that has been fired or not. But just to show that you gotta take what you read and hear about with a grain of salt. Not everything you see is what it seems to be. Alright, moving on. The school shooter Memo. So, if you remember last year, there was a school shooting in Nashville. A transgender person shot up a Christian school in Nashville, and the left tried to justify it. And they acted like it was some sort of sick revenge plot, as if justice has been served, as if the children murdered and the staff member murdered there were had it coming, if they had it coming. Acting like the shooter was actually the victim here. Which is just ridiculous. They're acting like justice has been served here. This is the most supported school shooting in American history. So much so that even the White House has suppressed a bunch of information referring to the school shooting. Mainly because it's a transgender person who shot up the school. The White House suppressed the memos from being released because they didn't want to make the LGBTQ community look bad, which is deeply irresponsible for many reasons. And the government even gone as far as lying about the school shooting, saying that the shooter used an AK-47 and used the school shooting to promote their crappy gun control. So this article comes from Matt Walsh. This article is word for word of his video. So if you want to watch his video on it, I recommend you just go on his channel and watch it, Matt Walsh. So this is like halfway through. It says, the first entry that we've obtained in the school shooter's handwritten writings reads as follows. This part is addressed to someone named Paige. We don't know who that is, but context may refer to a Nashville radio host who previously played basketball with the shooter in 8th grade and who reportedly called the authorities because of the shooter messaged her on the day of the attack from the shooter's writing. So this is from the shooter's writing. It says, Dear Paige, aren't parents manipulative? It's total ignorance when parents step up and try to change their child's environment, make them go to youth group, and force Christian friends in their life because they're old ones, or because the old ones were a bad influence. I can't effing stand that parents actually believe religion can change nature. That could explain why I don't practice religion anymore. Let kids think for themselves. Listen to parents. Listening to parents does no D word good, but to mold their premature minds to pre-formatted program like clones do. The very manipulative forms teens hate and rebel to. Kids are not robots. We are the future. That's how it's meant to be. She wrote 2, as in the number 2. 2 idea, 1 mind. That's all nature needs. The shooter then goes on to graphically describe how she made a stuffed male doll have simulated intercourse with a stuffed girl doll. She's made, I'm not sure if it's like, I'm guessing it's a smaller miniature doll. But one of the big things in her memo, which I read, is she was very interested in being a man. She wanted to feel what it's like when a man has sex. That was her main thing. That was her main theme. She wanted to be a man, and she said very nasty things that she wanted to do to women if she was a man. So the stuffed girl doll, who represented the dream girl that she wished to have in real life. Again, it's very graphic, but you can see what she wrote in the image above. So this is the article. In the article, it shows it. I'm not going to show it, but you can go on the Daily Wire's website and you can read it. You can go on Matt Walsh's Twitter and you can read it yourself. It's really not that easy to read anyway. It's actually a pretty difficult thing to read because of the handwriting. The handwriting is very weird. Plus, there's a lot of scribbles and stuff like that. This is very disturbing. Entirely ends with the shooter saying that she was sexually aroused by what she did with the dolls, including that she's a pervert who wastes too much time in her fantasies. Just a few days ago, the Tennessee Star reported on those fantasies. Retired Metro Nashville Police Department Lieutenant Garrett Davidson told Michael Patrick, CEO Director-in-Chief of the Tennessee Star, that the Covenant school shooter, or school killer, received threat treatment from the Vanderbilt Physiatric Hospital, where professionals failed to report her violent fantasies to law enforcement. Deeply irresponsible. David wasn't involved in the shooting investigation in his official capacity, but he seems more he's seen more documents as a part of the probe due to the leak than we have, according to Davidson. In my impression for what I was seeing in the documents is that the therapist had actually made a forced committal to them to get treatment for the shooter. I assume attend to render mental health treatment, physiological treatment, but as far as I know, I don't think they reported out and said that they were specific ideations, which a plan, and they would notify the police. That's where I think the public would want to know if they had done that, and then had detectives receive that information, looked and saw that the obtained firearm might have possessed them. So she had firearms, and obviously they didn't relay that information to the police, so the police could not do anything about it. So they had a reason to believe that, and then conducted a search warrant. It's reasonable to believe now, what we have the benefit of hindsight, now we have the benefit of hindsight, that maybe these firearms could have been seized. So you hear the left all the time talking about there are many ways to prevent school shootings and to prevent these school shootings. Maybe if things like this get reported properly, maybe this school shooting could have been prevented. But of course, they don't care about that. They just want to take our guns away. They want to criminalize gun owners. So, the writings continue. You might remember that when this shooting took place, there were some reports that the shooter may have had a personal motivation for attacking the Covenant school. Some people suggest, without any evidence, that the shooter might have been accused by someone at the school. Or abused. That she might have been abused by someone at the school. But from these writings, it does not appear to be the case. And there is no evidence to come out to support that theory. That was the false narrative, to be sure. But it wasn't the kind of false narrative the FBI cared about. Instead, these documents were evidence that the school shooter harbored a more general anti-Christian animus. So, this is a quote from her writing. Parents actually believe religion can change nature, she wrote. That could explain why I don't practice religion anymore. Let kids think for themselves. Listening to your parents does no D-word good. You did life the way you wanted to. It was 100% your desire, your heart's desire. No one else but you planned it. Why I admire you. So independent, so young. Me young too. And what I desire, to die and be with you. My ultimate plan. Thought from no one else but me. I am who I am. You are who you are. Nature is pure, raw form. Immediately you can understand why the media, along with the highest levels of the FBI and the White House, saw this document as radioactive. This is pretty much a verbatim accounting of what every media outlet and mainstream politician on the left have been saying for the last decade. And this is in addition to the writings from the shooter that Steven Crowder released last year, in which she describes her own anti-white sentiments, referring to people as little crackers with white privilege. The rest of the shooter's writings that we've obtained only reinforce that point. Fragments of these writings have been reported already by the Tennessee Star, but today we can publish the full source documents. This is form and entry dated March 11th of 2023, just a few weeks before the shooting. In these documents, the shooter makes it very clear that she suffered severely from gender dysphoria. There are other grievances in these documents along these lines. For example, in the document, the shooter writes that she's upset that her new masculine identity apparently wasn't accepted on a job form at Instacart. She also said she resents that she was never given puberty blockers. The torture of being raised a girl, it's only until my early 20s I finally found the answer. Changing one's gender is possible. But this answer, as the shooter refers to, apparently wasn't much of a solution. That is true. If anything, it apparently emboldened this lifelong physiatric patient into committing an act of horrific violence. As the entry continues, the shooter also lashes out at her mother, saying she believes how she grew up conservatively, and that LGBTQ, especially transgender, in this era was an enigma, nearly non-existent. Then she elaborates on this grievance. Pain of losing a daughter, that's not pain, that's selfishness. Just like any rest of the parents with that mindset, how could they ever think of their own child suffering and that they hate their gender so bad that they cut and want to kill themselves? F parents like them who think of themselves and their preference of conservative religion, gay S-word, make them believe that a child they are given should stay that way. Even if transgender treatment was discovered and tested during my time, I know how the situation would have turned out. My mother would not have paid a cent. Children who were able to successfully take puberty blockers never entered tortured puberty. Those little Fs don't know how good they effing have it. I'd kill to have parents who would let their child be happy no matter how different it is to their own viewpoints, or don't agree to, or scared of it. So, she's just a super angry person. She's a very angry person making a problem out of nothing. Because let's be honest here, there is no problem here. There's nothing wrong. Her parents don't want her to take these treatments that could do long-lasting damage to them. Many people go, well, it's been tested and it's fine. It hasn't really been tested, though. This transgender stuff has not really been tested to the degree that it should be. before it gets done on people. Quite frankly, it shouldn't be tested at all, really. And, she's literally making a problem out of nothing. This is literally first world problems. This is the problem with our country. We live in a world where we make big problems out of little things. Okay? Little things. I was at a teacher meeting at one point. I used to be a teacher at a school. And I was at a teacher meeting, and they were talking about, like, having social anxiety. And they were like, oh, I don't like going to the store, and I feel anxious going to the store at some point. I feel tired. I don't want to do all this stuff. And just complaining about garbage. And I stood up. Someone asked me that same question, how I deal with stuff like that. I stood up and go, we live in the best time to be alive. I literally have no complaints. I don't have any complaints about my life. Okay, I'm not George Washington fighting barefoot in the Revolutionary War. I'm not literally working my entire life away like many people did in our past. Newsflash for you, this whole idea of free time and leisure time is a new concept. The stuff that we have access to is absolutely insane. Okay? Let me ask you this. Would you rather be a king 200 years ago, 300 years, 1,000 years ago? We'll go, would you rather be a king back then? Or would you rather be alive now just as a normal person? Because newsflash for you, kings didn't have hot water. Kings didn't have the luxuries that we have. Kings didn't have AC. I have air conditioning right here. Boom, air conditioning. If I'm too hot, I can turn that on, and I can turn my whole house to a comfortable temperature. I have lights. I can turn a light switch like that. Boom, lights. I can see now. But for some reason, we're a bunch of pathetic losers now. Everyone's a pathetic loser nowadays. They're a bunch of wimpy dorks who make big problems out of little things. Okay? There are people in Africa who would trade life with you that quickly. And you're sitting here making a big problem out of something as stupid as this. This is the first world problem garbage. Making big problems out of little things. I'm going to continue now. They are willing to listen to their children, not the other way around. I'd kill to have those resources. 2007 was the birth of puberty blockers and a refound discovery for treatment of non-conforming transgender children. 2007 was when I was in 6th grade. Puberty already hit me. Womp, womp, womp. Your body did a thing it's supposed to do. Womp, womp, womp. Fortunately, we might soon have more answers. This cannot be the end of this story. And we have reason to believe it won't be. There is a very real possibility that within a matter of days, we could receive more excerpts from the shooter's writings and the court fight to release the entire manifesto. In the meantime, continues. This manifesto should be released indefinitely. There should be no debate on this. The manifesto should just get released. I don't know why we're fighting over this, why this is a big deal. Okay. First of all, any argument to release the memo, any argument against it is garbage. Okay, the shooter's already dead. So boom. Okay, everything is irrelevant. Why can't we release it? It's clear it's a political stunt, and that the Democratic Party in the White House don't care about public health, public safety, so much so they're going to hide this information from us the same way they hid the information of COVID to us. The same way, instead of trying to prevent COVID from coming to America, they're trying to impeach Donald Trump. The same way they literally signed NDAs to hide the fact that if you got COVID, you had natural immunity. If you have had COVID, you had a natural immunity and you didn't need to be vaccinated. Okay, that was a discovery found, but they literally signed NDAs to hide that information, and this is the same problem. They're hiding information from us for their benefit. Whatever that manifesto contains, there is no chance at this point that any mainstream institution, not Vanderbilt, not the FBI, and certainly not the White House, will tell you the truth about it. That's why the only solution is transparency. It's well past time we stop treating these writings as a state secret to prevent loss of life based on everything we've seen, and more importantly, what we haven't seen. We have no other choice. One of the other arguments on this is, I think even the FBI made this argument, is we don't want people to create conspiracy theories about this. You want to know a good way to not create a conspiracy theory? To make one truth. Here's a manifesto. And then people can read the manifesto. And then now there's no longer a conspiracy theory, because all the information's already out. Because the way that conspiracy theories work is you have something that isn't really known, and then they make theories about the stuff that we don't really know. Now, obviously, I understand that you can make conspiracy theories on stuff that is known. For example, the flat earth theory is a very popular theory that the earth is flat, when that is clearly not the case. But it's hard to make theories about things when we have all the information. Anyway, that's going to be the end of my show. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, give it a comment. Give it a like, comment, and subscribe for more stuff like this. I post shows every weekday, so stay tuned for more stuff like this. And anyways, I will see you guys later. Peace.